Every year, thousands of NRIs fly to India, walk into an Aadhaar center, and get turned away. Not because they are ineligible, but because the officer quotes a rule that no longer exists. That rule, the 182 days waiting period for NRIs, was officially scrapped in 2019, but nobody told the enrollment centers and nobody told you. So here's where that leaves most people. Confused, frustrated, and still without Aadhaar. Meanwhile, every property deal, every bank account, every investment back home keeps hitting the same wall. This video fixes that. I've gone through the official UIDAI circulars, the 2024 updated forms, the actual FAQ documentation, and I'm going to give you the exact rules, the exact documents, the exact process. NRIs, OCIs, children, forms, all of it. So the next time you walk into the Aadhaar Seva Kendra, you walk out with an acknowledgement slip, not an apology. I'm Nikhil. I'm a chartered accountant by profession with nearly 2 decades of experience with EY, PwC, and one of India's top wealth management firm before starting my own startup. This is Finicky, where I simplify money the same way I practice it. I have put everything into this video. Eligibility, documents, forms, the full processes, and answers to the questions I get asked almost every time. So if you have been confused about this for a while, stay till the end. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what to do on your next India trip. Let's get into it. Before we get into who qualifies and how, let's quickly establish why this actually matters. Because some of you might be thinking, I manage fine without it. Do I really need this? Here's a scenario most NRIs and OCIs will recognize. You're back home in India, you walk into a bank account to open an NRO account. The person at the counter asks, do you have an Aadhaar? You say no. Suddenly the process that should have taken 20 minutes turns into a 2-week documentation exercise, if it happens at all. The same conversation plays out when you're registering property, completing KYC for mutual funds, filling Indian income tax returns, helping aging parents with their finances, or trying to get anything done at government office. Now, here's the nuance. Aadhaar is not legally mandatory for NRIs and OCIs in most of these situations. The law actually gives you an exemption. But ground level India runs on Aadhaar. So is it mandatory? Technically no. Is it practically essential? Absolutely yes. That's why this matters, and that's why getting your Aadhaar the right way is worth doing on your next India trip. So, can NRI get Aadhaar? Let's start here. Yes, NRIs can absolutely get Aadhaar. But here's where the confusion starts, and honestly, where a lot of frustration begins to. Picture this. You've planned your India trip. You've set aside a morning for the Aadhaar Kendra. You show up with your passport and the officer looks at it, sees your foreign address and says, sorry, you should have lived in India for 182 days before you can actually apply. You haven't, so you have to leave empty-handed, feeling like the system just shut a door on you. Here's what that officer didn't know and what you need to know now. The rule was officially changed in July 2019. The Government of India amended the Aadhaar Act and removed the 182-day waiting period for NRIs entirely. It's called Aadhaar on arrival, and it means exactly what it sounds like. If you're an NRI with a valid Indian passport, you can walk into the Aadhaar Kendra the day you land and apply. No waiting, no conditions, same as any resident Indian. If an officer still quotes the old rule, politely point them to the September 2019 UIDAI circular. It's public, it's official, and it's been in force for years. The problem was never the law, it was that the information didn't travel far enough. Now let's talk about what you actually need to bring. It's simpler than most people expect. Your valid Indian passport is the single most important document. It serves as a proof of identity, proof of date of birth, and in many cases, proof of address. All in one. That's it. One document, 3 jobs done. There's one nuance on address though, and knowing this in advance saves a wasted trip. If your passport shows an Indian address, you're completely sorted. No extra paperwork needed. If your passport shows a foreign address, you have 2 options, and you need to get to choose which works better for you. Option 1, enroll using your foreign address directly. UIDAI explicitly allows this. Just use Form 2 for adults or Form 4 or 6 for children. Option 2, provide a separate Indian address proof, a bank statement from an Indian bank account, a utility bill, a ration card, a property document, or anything from UIDAI's approved list. This doesn't have to be your own property, your parents' home works, your siblings' address also works. Wherever you're staying in India, that's more important. So a foreign address on your passport is not a barrier, it just means you have to make a choice. Two more things worth knowing before you go. First, UIDAI requires a valid active email address for NRI enrollment. Keep it accessible because that's where they send updates. Second, an Indian mobile number isn't mandatory at enrollment, but here's the honest advice. Get one before you go. OTP services, status updates, future corrections, all of it works with an Indian +91 number. International numbers can technically be recorded in some of forms, but they won't receive SMSs or OTPs. So if you actually want to use your Aadhaar for online services, an Indian number is the difference between smooth and being stuck. If this is clearing up the confusion you've had for a while, that's exactly why I make this. A like or subscribe just tells me to keep making more content like this. Alright, back to the video. Okay, so NRIs can actually apply the day they land, simple enough. OCIs, it's a different story. And here's the twist most people don't see coming. An OCI cardholder cannot apply on arrival. Not because UIDAI doesn't want them to issue an Aadhaar, but because of one fundamental legal reality that changes everything. An OCI is not an Indian citizen, and NRI is still an Indian citizen living abroad. An OCI, overseas citizen of India, is a foreign citizen of Indian origin, someone who has taken up another country's citizenship, holds a foreign passport, and is legally no longer Indian. Same roots, different passport, different rules. And because Aadhaar is fundamentally a residency document, not a citizenship one, OCIs have to earn it differently. So, can OCIs get Aadhaar? Absolutely yes, but one condition must be met first. As an OCI, you must have stayed in India for at least 182 days in the 12 months immediately before your application. That's roughly 6 months out of the past year. Why 182 days? Under Indian tax law, that's the threshold that classifies someone as a resident of India. Since OCIs are foreign nationals, they must demonstrate resident-like presence before Aadhaar is issued. So, if you are an OCI who visits India for 2 or 3 weeks a year, you won't qualify. But if you are semi-retired, managing a business, working in India, or spending substantial time here, you can absolutely apply. UIDAI classifies OCI applicants as resident foreign nationals, and the documents reflect that. Here's what you need: a valid foreign passport, a valid OCI card, one valid Indian address proof, for example, an electricity bill not older than 3 months, a gas connection bill, a registered rent agreement, a sale deed, or any document from UIDAI's official approved list. On proving your 182-day stay, and UIDAI doesn't publish a fixed checklist for this, but enrollment centers typically look at your passport entry and exit stamps, visa records, or FRRO registration. Have these clear and organized, centers may ask to review them. One honest note on what to expect. OCI applications tend to go through closer scrutiny than standard resident enrollments. People have reported delays and occasional rejections, almost always because documents were not in order or the 182-day stay couldn't be clearly evidenced. This isn't a reason to be anxious, it's a reason to be prepared. Show up with clean, well-organized documentation and you'll be fine. So what are the correct forms to use? I know forms are the least exciting part of any video, but trust me on this one. Using the wrong form is the single most avoidable reason people get delayed or sent home. Spend 30 seconds here and save yourself a wasted trip. UIDAI has a separate forms for each category of applicant updated in 2024. Here's a complete breakdown. For NRIs, adult 18 plus with Indian address, Form 1. Adults 18 plus with foreign address, Form 2. For NRI children, age between 5 to 17, Indian address, Form 3. Age 5 to 7, foreign address, Form 4. Below 5 years, Indian address, Form 5. And below 5 years with foreign address, Form 6. For OCIs, resident foreign nationals, adult 18 and above, Form 7, minors under 18, Form 8. All forms are available on the official UIDAI website, uidi.gov.in. Download, fill, and carry a completed copy to the center. It signals you have done your homework and keeps the process moving. Alright, you know if you qualify, you know your documents, you've got the right form. Now let's walk through exactly what happens at the center step by step. Whether you are an NRI or an OCI, the process from here is the same. Step 1. Locate an Aadhaar enrollment center. You must apply in person inside India. There is no overseas options, no embassy route, no consulate route. Go to uidai.gov.in and use the Locate Enrollment Center tool to find the nearest Aadhaar Kendra or Aadhaar Seva Kendra. Many UIDAI approved banks also run these centers. Step 2. Book an appointment. Walk-ins are technically accepted, but booking online in advance is strongly recommended. It cuts wait time significantly and means you are seen at a scheduled slot rather than whenever the queue clears. Book through the UIDAI website before you go. Step 3. Arrive with your documents. Carry all originals, passport, OCI card if applicable, address proof documents, and your pre-filled enrollment form. Originals are required for verifications. Photocopies alone won't get you through. Step 4. Declare your category. This step is critical and I want to spend an extra moment here because this is where things go wrong even when everything else is right. The moment you sit down at the enrollment desk, say it clearly upfront. I am enrolling as an NRI or I am enrolling as an OCI cardholder. Don't assume the operator will figure it out from your documents. Many won't. NRI and OCI applications are processed differently in the system from the standard resident enrollments. Different category selection, different workflow. If the operator begins treating you as a regular resident and you don't catch it, you could end up with an incorrectly processed application. Stop them politely but firmly. They need to select the correct category before anything else happens. Step 5. Document verification. The operator checks everything. If all documents matches and are in order, the process moves forward. If there's a mismatch, a missing document, or an expired OCI card, it gets flagged here. This is why the prep at home matters so much. One missing document means a wasted trip, and if you're flown in from abroad, that's not a small inconvenience. Step 6. Biometric capture. Once documents are cleared, they capture your photograph and 10 fingerprints and an iris scan. Completely painless, just takes a few minutes. For children, biometrics are handled differently depending on age. More on that in the next section. Step 7. Sign the declarations. After biometrics, you'll need to sign a declaration form. Note that the NRI and OCI declarations forms are slightly different versions. Make sure you're signing the right one for your category. The operator should know, but it's worth confirming. Step 8. Collect your acknowledgement slip. This is the most important document right now. The acknowledgement slip contains your enrollment number, which you'll use to track your application status on the UIDAI website and to download your e-Aadhaar once it's ready. Don't lose it. Step 9. Track and download. After enrollment, monitor your status at uidi.gov.in using your enrollment number. Aadhaar is typically generated within few weeks and may take up to 90 days. OCI applications which go through additional verification as resident foreign national cases can sometimes take longer. Once it's ready, download your e-Aadhaar directly from the UIDAI website. It's fully valid and legally accepted everywhere. If you want a physical card mailed to you, make sure the Indian address on your Aadhaar is one where you receive the post. And this is worth repeating, enrollment is completely free. UIDAI charges nothing, not for residents, not for NRIs, not for OCIs. If you're planning to enroll your child on the same trip, here's what you need to know, because the rules for children have a few specific requirements that parents often miss. For NRI children, the child must have their own valid Indian passport regardless of age. This is mandatory as a proof of identity. A parent's passport cannot be used as a substitute even for very young children. One important thing to know, the birth certificate plus the parent's Aadhaar route, known as the head of family route, is available only for resident Indian children, not for NRI children. If your child doesn't have an Indian passport yet, getting one is the necessary first step before Aadhaar enrollment can actually happen. Now for OCI children, they apply as resident foreign national as minors using Form 8. They need their own valid foreign passport, their OCI card, and a valid Indian address proof. The 182-day stay requirement applies here as well, typically assessed based on family's cumulative stay in India. For both NRIs and OCI children, a parent or a legal guardian must be physically present at the enrollment center to give consent and sign on behalf of the child. Here's the one that parents most commonly overlook. children's biometric must be updated twice. Once when the child turns 5 and again at the age of 15. These are not optional. Missing these mandatory biometric updates can affect the child's Aadhaar functionality, including KYC and authentication, and can cause it to stop working when it's needed most. Set calendar reminders now before you forget. How long is your Aadhaar valid? This is a question I get a lot, and the answer is different depending on who you are. For NRIs, in other words, Indian citizen, Aadhaar is valid for life, no expiry, no renewal, the same as any resident Indian citizen. For OCIs, Aadhaar carries a 10 years validity period from the date of enrollment. After those 10 years, your details must be updated and your Aadhaar is renewed again. This is meaningfully different from a citizen Aadhaar, which has no expiry at all. There's also a separate non-mandatory recommendation that all Aadhaar holders update their supporting documents every 10 years. But for Indian citizens, that's about keeping records current, not about the Aadhaar expiring. If you are an OCI, note your enrollment date and set a reminder for the 9th year mark. Letting it lapse creates complications exactly at the moment you need it the most. So let me close with the questions that come up in my DMs and comments consistently. These are worth addressing clearly. Is Aadhaar proof of Indian citizenship? No. And this is more important than it might seem. Aadhaar is an identity and resident document, not a citizenship document. Issuing an Aadhaar to an OCI does not make them an Indian citizen, and not having an Aadhaar does not affect your status as an NRI. The Aadhaar Act itself explicitly states this, and the Aadhaar letter carries the disclaimer on its face. Aadhaar is a proof of identity, not of citizenship. Can you apply from outside India? No. Whether you are an NRI or OCI, you must be physically present in India to enroll. There is no embassy route, there is no consulate route, no online form abroad option. This has to be planned as a part of your India visit. Can you use an international number? Technically, yes. An international number can be entered in some forms. Form 7, for example, does allow non-Indian numbers. But OTP-based services and SMS alerts from UIDAI work only with Indian +91 numbers. So, if you want to actually use Aadhaar for online services after enrollment, you need an Indian number linked to it. Recording a foreign number and then being unable to receive OTPs is a frustration you want to avoid. What if your passport shows a foreign address? Not a problem at all. As covered earlier, you have two choices. Use Form 2 to enroll with a foreign address directly, or provide a separate Indian address proof to use Indian address instead. The two don't have to match, and neither option is wrong. What happens if your application is rejected? For NRIs, rejections are genuinely rare. For OCIs, they do happen almost always because of missing documents or insufficient evidence of the 182-day stay. There is no penalty for reapplying. Fix the gap, gather the right documentation, and go back again. Is PAN Aadhaar linking mandatory? The legal position, mandatory linking under Section 139AA of Income Tax Act applies only to individuals who are resident under the Income Tax Act and eligible to obtain an Aadhaar. NRIs who are classified as non-resident under the Indian tax laws are generally in the exempt category. OCIs as non-citizens also fall outside the mandatory linking requirement by law. That said, tax rules have implementation nuances, so when in doubt, speak with a tax professional rather than assume. So we started with the problem that thousands of NRIs being turned away from Aadhaar Kendras based on a rule that no longer existed, or the rules were never told about in the first place. Now you know better. If you're an NRI, you can apply the day you land in India. The 182-day rule is gone. Your Indian passport does the heavy lifting, and once issued, your Aadhaar is valid for life. If you are an OCI, you can get an Aadhaar too after 182 days of stay in India in the preceding 12 months. Your documentation needs to be clean, and your Aadhaar carries a 10-year validity period that needs renewal when it lapses. For both, the process happens in person, in India, at an Aadhaar Kendra, and it's free. And now, unlike the thousands of people who walked out of that Kendra empty-handed, you know exactly what to bring, which form to use, and what to say when you sit down at that desk. The system didn't fail those people because the rules were impossible. It failed them because nobody gave them the right information. Now you have it. If this video helped you, share it with one NRI or OCI who are still stuck in that confusion. It might save them a wasted trip. Drop your questions in the comments. I do read every single one, and also let me know which topic I should cover next. That's it from me. I'm Nikhil. Subscribe to learn how to make your finances less tricky with Finicky. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.